Time to pull up a chair. We've got another great story for you today in the rLounge. Today in the rLounge, comfort built on someone else's sacrifice, silence instead of honesty, and outrage the moment boundaries appear. These stories all follow the same pattern. Someone gives quietly, consistently, and in good faith. Money, meals, patience, while everyone else takes it for granted. But the moment that effort stops, the illustration collapses, and suddenly you are the problem. Up first, welcome to the family where your money works harder than anyone else. My parents used my grandma's inheritance meant for both of us to buy my sister a house, so I bought myself one, and now they're mad I won't help with their retirement. I, 32 female, and my sister, 29 female, have always had a strained relationship. She's been the golden child since we were kids, getting special treatment, better gifts, and more attention. I've made peace with it over the years and just focused on building my own life. Our grandmother passed away last year and left a considerable inheritance specifically to be split between my sister and me. The money was placed in my parents' account temporarily until the estate was fully settled, with clear instructions it was for both of us. Last month, I found out through a family gathering that my parents had used the entire inheritance, roughly $180,000, to help my sister buy a house. They didn't even mention it to me. I only discovered this when my sister was showing everyone pictures of her new place and thanked our parents for the help. When I confronted them privately, my dad shrugged it off, saying, "Your sister needed it more since she has kids. You're doing fine on your own." My mom added that they always planned to make it up to me someday. I made it clear that they had effectively stolen my inheritance. They dismissed my concerns, saying family helps family and I should be happy for my sister. The conversation ended with my mom crying and my dad telling me I was being selfish. Fast forward 2 weeks. I withdrew from our shared family account, which I'd been contributing to monthly for their retirement, and used that money plus my savings to put a down payment on my own house. I didn't tell anyone until after the closing. When my parents found out, they were furious. Turns out they had been counting on my continued contributions for their upcoming retirement next year. My dad called me ungrateful while my mom insisted I had abandoned the family. I told them that since they decided my sister needed housing support more than I did, I made the same decision for myself. And since they clearly don't need my financial help, given they had $180,000 to spare, they should be fine without my contributions. My sister has been blowing up my phone saying I'm punishing our parents for helping her and that I'm putting their retirement at risk. Edit. Thank you for all the support. To answer some common questions. Yes, I have documentation proving the inheritance was meant for both of us equally. My parents aren't destitute. They have their own savings and Social Security, just not as much as they planned with my contributions. I've been contributing about $1,500 monthly to their retirement fund for the past 5 years. Update. It's been 3 months since my original post. A lot has happened, so here's where things stand now. After I moved into my new house, my parents realized I was serious about cutting them off financially. They tried everything: guilt trips through relatives, showing up at my house unannounced, and even having our family pastor call me. I remained firm. About a month after moving, I received a letter from their attorney demanding I continue my contractual obligation to their retirement. This was laughable since no such contract existed. My lawyer sent a response pointing this out, along with documentation showing the inheritance that was meant to be split. That's when things shifted. My aunt, Dad's sister, called me privately. Apparently my parents had been bragging at family gatherings about how they'd redirected my inheritance to my sister while still keeping my monthly contributions. They'd been telling everyone they were financial geniuses for essentially double dipping. I had my lawyer draft a demand letter for my portion of the inheritance. I also included screenshots of text messages where my parents acknowledged the money was meant for both of us. 2 weeks later, my parents showed up at my house with a check for $90,000, half of the inheritance. They didn't apologize but said they wanted peace in the family. I accepted the check but made it clear our relationship had fundamentally changed. Here's the kicker. My sister called yesterday in a panic. Turns out my parents had told her the house money was a gift from them alone. She had no idea they'd used my inheritance. When she found out the truth from my aunt, she was mortified and offered to take out a home equity loan to pay me back. I told her to keep the house, but that I wouldn't be attending family gatherings for the foreseeable future. My parents have had to postpone their retirement by several years. They're now telling family members I abandoned them, but nobody's buying it anymore. Several relatives have reached out to apologize for pressuring me. I've invested the $90,000 along with what I saved from not contributing to their retirement fund. My house is coming along nicely, and I've found peace in establishing firm boundaries. Sometimes the trash takes itself out. Clarification update. Hey everyone, I wanted to clear up a few things from my previous posts since I've gotten a lot of questions in my DMs. First, regarding the shared family account I mentioned, this was an account my parents set up years ago that I've been contributing to monthly, $1,500 a month for 5 years, totaling about $90,000 of my money. It was never their personal account. It was specifically created as a family fund that I was paying into to help with their retirement. I only withdrew my contributions when I found out about the inheritance situation. I didn't touch a penny of what they had put in. About the legal timeline. This wasn't as quick as it might have seemed from my updates. The initial consultation with the estate attorney happened about 6 weeks after my first post. We spent nearly a month gathering and organizing all the documentation, copies of my grandmother's will, bank statements showing the transfer to my parents, text messages where they acknowledged the inheritance split, and even emails between my grandmother and her attorney before she passed where she explicitly stated her wishes. The formal letter from my attorney wasn't just a simple demand. It was a 14-page document with exhibits that essentially laid out our entire case as if we were going to court. My attorney made it clear that we had to file it in probate court. We would also be requesting that my parents cover all legal fees based on their deliberate mishandling of the inheritance. What I didn't mention in my update was that my parents actually consulted their own attorney first, who apparently told them that they were in a legally indefensible position. According to my aunt, their attorney advised them that fighting this would cost them significantly more than just paying what they owed, especially since there was clear documentation of their actions and intentions. As for the quick payment, it wasn't as immediate as it seemed. There was about 2 weeks of back and forth through the attorneys, with my parents initially offering less and trying to negotiate payment terms. They only transferred the full amount when my attorney made it clear we were prepared to file court documents the following week. Also, for clarity, I'm female, 32 female. Sorry if that wasn't clear in my posts. I know some of this might seem like it resolved too neatly, but the reality is my parents knew they were wrong from the beginning. They just thought I wouldn't stand up for myself because I never had before. When faced with actual consequences and public scrutiny through a court case, they chose to pay rather than fighting a battle they knew they'd lose. Your parents stole your inheritance, gave it to your sister, kept accepting $1,500 a month from you like nothing happened, and somehow you're the problem? They didn't forget to tell you. They chose not to. They only got upset once the money pipeline shut off. You didn't punish anyone. You corrected the balance. Your parents gambled that you'd stay quiet because you always had before, and they lost. The fact that they had to delay retirement isn't cruelty. It's the natural consequence of spending money that wasn't theirs and assuming you'd cover the fallout. You didn't abandon your family. You just stopped letting them fund one child's life by siphoning off of yours. What would you have done? Let us know in the comments below. Up next, everyone says, the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. This guy clearly missed the exit and kept going until he hit the cafeteria. My 21 female boyfriend, 24 male, has been throwing away the lunches I cooked for him for 1.5 years. I feel humiliated, embarrassed, and slightly upset. What do I do about that? Pre-COVID, my boyfriend worked about an hour away from home. I always woke up at 5:30 a.m. so I could pack him fresh lunch before he left at 6:10 a.m. I packed for him because he was having some rough time at work and I knew he didn't get along with a lot of the people there. I did this 6 times a week for 1.5 years. Now, near COVID, he got promoted and a month-ish after that went work online, so I didn't have to pack for him. Recently, I've become friends with one of the gals at the office, and we call each other now and then. During our conversation, Christmas call, yesterday, I found out something shocking. My boyfriend had been eating work lunch the job provides, instead of my lunches. I asked her how long he had been eating in the job cafeteria, and she told me that from his card logs, he'd been eating there every day for 1.5 years. She said that the card provided lunch, and when he got lunch, it would notify her machine, and there has been notifications every day for the entire time I've packed for him. Edit. FYI, I didn't ask for her to snoop in the logs. I didn't even know she had the logs. It was just a natural flow in the conversation to ask, how long was he doing that? After she told me, he's been doing it for a while. When I said, for me, I meant she did it because she was invested in the situation, and she said, I looked it up so you could know, but not because I told her to. I got off the call fuming. I cooked at 5:30 a.m., 6 days a week for him, and he threw it away. Then, my rage turned into humiliation? I don't know. I felt so embarrassed that he hated my food so much that he would eat work lunch instead. Now I feel betrayed because he could have been honest, but he wasn't. He would always bring his empty lunch bag home and tell me XYZ was pretty good and stuff like that. but I know he has never eaten my food before. My friend said there was no area to eat inside the cafeteria and that he never brought food there. I feel like crap. I prided myself in being a good girlfriend and cooking for him, but now I know that meant nothing. What do I do? Let's see what the community thinks with some relevant comments. First up, what the F? So he couldn't tell you he doesn't want your lunch? The F is wrong with him? Absolutely right to be angry. The OP replies, I know, my anger isn't from not liking my lunches, which, he can totally just tell me, but from not telling me anything. I'm wondering if there's something wrong with me which made him not want to tell me. The next person chimes in, from his card logs? So you got her to look up this info during your Christmas call? Or she just already knew that info, which seems weird for a human to just know. Just wondering how this came to be. I would ask him whether he really has been eating them. Maybe there are factors you don't know about. And yes, maybe he was afraid to tell you. That sucks, especially with all the work you did. Sometimes people think the stupid things matter and ignore the important parts, thinking they're doing a nice thing. I think talking to him about it before getting wrapped up in hypotheticals is the best course here. The OP replies, she's the secretary and office manager and she makes sure no one uses the cards for something they're not supposed to. I think she kept her work phone, which had a record of everything, and she kinda snooped in it for me. Yep, I'm going to wait till he's not busy and confront him about it. Till then, I'm just going to be slightly paranoid. I'll update his response. Someone else adds, should be fired for all that. Also, did he ever ask you to make his lunch for him every day, or did you just do it? It seems like he was just afraid to tell you the truth about a fairly simple thing, and based on your reaction, I'm understanding that a bit. Even though he is 3 years older than you and should have been mature about confronting you, if he never asked you to do it to begin with, I can see how that's a little awkward. Also, that you're so close to his colleagues that you're video chatting is a bit more than I'd be comfortable with, but that's just me. The OP replies, he complained a lot about having to eat with people he hated, so I just started making food for him. But I chose to make food for him. Also, I didn't ask her to snoop on his logs. I asked her since she seemed like she knew and she chose to tell me the logs on her work phone. I didn't ask her to check up on anything, but she told me. I don't think he's too uncomfortable about me knowing his work friend, because sometimes he would pitch in about conversations or bring down some gifts they would give me, but who knows? Maybe he's eating 2 lunches. Not really a big guy, but he's not skinny. He has a healthy appetite, but I think it's humanly possible to eat a whole freaking lunch, which is pretty filling, right after breakfast. And me too. I'm bamboozled. Mad-boozled. And then there's a comment about what the OP makes. He rides the subway and is prohibited from eating on the subway. Also, I have a hard time imagining him eating on the commute my soups and pastas and eating so much right after breakfast, which I make sure is filling. Update. He did throw away his lunch, yes, the entire time. He did it because he had to fit in and he ate with the other workers who ate the cafeteria food, and that's why he got to smooch his way to a promotion. He said that the office environment was pretty cliquey and he didn't want to ostracize himself by eating special lunches. He didn't tell me because he thought at first it would be a short-term thing. Then he said he didn't want to put me down and sound ungrateful, so he just kept pushing it back until I found out. He said he would have told me sooner or later, but I'm pissed. He did sometimes eat my lunch coming back from work, but oftentimes he would throw it away or give it to the stray animals near the park outside at our home. But I feel like he's just saying that to make the situation sound better because he said it after he told me he never ate my lunches. Final update, December 27th, 2021. Y'all, I was ready to make my decision and I told him to tell me anything he was not telling me beforehand, and he told me something pretty deal-breaking. I mean, this is a man who couldn't tell me that he didn't like my food, so a huge debt was too big to talk about. I mean, we weren't in the best situation, but yeah, he had some other issues and I'm not dealing with that. He can go to a therapist to sort out whatever issues he has if he wants to. It's better for him anyway. It's a win-win to everyone in the comments. People who told me he was a no-no win, break up. People who told me he was a cray-cray, win, break up. Waking up at 5:30 a.m. 6 days a week for over a year is a huge act of care. Anyone would feel hurt and embarrassed finding out that effort wasn't actually being received the way they believed it was, especially when they were being reassured the whole time that it was appreciated. The part that really crosses the line is lying. He didn't just avoid an uncomfortable conversation once. He actively misled you for a long time. He could have said, I really appreciate this, but work lunches are expected right now, or found a compromise. Instead, he chose the path of least resistance at your expense. Ending it doesn't make you dramatic or cruel. It means you're choosing a relationship where effort is met with honesty and respect. What do you think? Up next, when a boyfriend apparently decides that OP's PS4 was a bigger threat to their relationship than, well, him. Boyfriend, 23 male, has implied that he'd leave me, 23 female, if I wouldn't stop playing my PS4. Hi. I know this isn't your normal question, but it's doting in my head. And I'm not trolling, I swear. I'm from the UK and I have a very, very good job for someone my age, but that means it can be very stressful. When I come home from work, I like to wind down and play maybe an hour or two on my PS4. My favorite game is Fallout 4, and I play it maybe 2 or 3 times a week. My boyfriend adored the fact that I loved games, but I don't play them as much as I'd like to. My boyfriend's idea of winding down after work, near the end of the week, is going to the pub. I happily go, obviously, to socialize, but I'm already done with the stage of my life where I want to go out and get drunk now. But I do enjoy a drink. But this morning he invited me out to drinks, and I've been absolutely shattered this week and haven't once looked at my PS4. And I honestly just want to sleep tonight. He immediately jumped on the defensive and said, "You're more invested into that PS4 than me. All you ever do is sit and play it." Which isn't true. We have an amazing, regular sex life, great circle of friends, and I do make sure communication is a thing we have and are honest with each other. And we've been together for almost a year, and it's coming close to our anniversary. I told him that it wasn't true, and I always offered him to play it, or with me, and let him have free reign of it. He can use it more than me sometimes, and has said, "Well, it isn't ladylike for girls to be playing. You're far too old to be playing it anymore." It may sound silly, but it kind of stung. I'd loved playing video games since I was little. We argued over it, and he basically said that I needed to get a grip, and that he's had enough and started shouting and mocking me for it. Then threatened to leave. I'm honestly not trolling. I'm just stunned. He didn't even come home after work and went straight out with her friends. Do I talk to him about it or just leave him? Am I too old for it? Am I childish for this? Let's see what the community thinks. First up, yeah, he's an a-hole. I game way more than that, and my fiance is fine with it. We both prefer chilling out at home rather than going out to unwind after a long day, though. Your boyfriend sounds like a jerk and is trying to manipulate you. If it was me, I'd leave him if he didn't apologize and ever said something like that again. The OP replies, "Funnily enough, he's just texted me saying he was sorry, but you needed a dose of the truth." So he's basically said sorry, not sorry to me. I'm amazed at how much of a dick he's being. I'm definitely considering ending things. I'm trying to make a rational decision as I'm still a little bewildered by it. Another commenter says this: "You're playing excessively and it's encroaching on our couple time equals reasonable complaint. You shouldn't play because you're a girl equals unreasonable complaint, also sexist. Is he a douche about you doing other unladylike activities?" Edit. And he yells and mocks you in anger? Dump. Update the next day. We made up. Not. He came back home drunk at like 4 a.m. and I had a few things gathered together as I decided that I'm going to be staying at my parents' for a while and sort things out like rent, etc. Before I left for my parents, he apologized in the morning at like 10 a.m. Took the day off of work because of it, but didn't apologize for calling me out on my addiction and just telling me to quit my boy habits. I was baffled, and I asked what it is he wants from this relationship, because I was under the impression he wanted me to break up with him, and he said for me to listen to him and basically do what he says. So I told him I am listening to him, and that I didn't like what I was listening to. So I told him he was being a sexist pig, made points of saying how often I play my PS4 and that he can use it more than me. I then rounded it up by telling him to go F himself and that we were done. Not the most gracious thing to do, but it got the message across. I'm sitting in my old bedroom receiving mixed text messages from him between "I'm sorry baby, please come back" and "Stop being such a witch." You get the point, Reddit. I don't need that or deserve it. I'm a mixture of emotions, but hey, at least I can romance Macready or dance from Fallout 4. Ha! This isn't about the PS4, your age, or whether gaming is ladylike. It's about respect and control. You weren't ignoring him, neglecting the relationship, or choosing gaming over him. You were tired and wanted rest. That should have been the end of it. You're not too old, childish, or wrong for having a hobby that helps you unwind, especially one you only do a few times a week. Plenty of adults game. Plenty of adults also go to the pub. The difference is that one of you respects the other's choices and one doesn't. The comments about boy habits and needing to do what he says are especially concerning. Those aren't the words of someone who wants an equal partner. They're the words of someone who wants authority. Do you have a similar story? Share it with us in the comments below. And thank you for joining us today in the rLounge. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. Until next time. And please put your chair back where you found it.